Welcome back to the Explainer. In our previous Explainer, we talked about exactly why women should lift weights. Today, we're taking the next logical step and explaining what actually happens inside your body when you do. If you've ever felt intimidated by the gym or maybe just totally confused by all the conflicting fitness advice out there, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to look at the real, evidence-based science of how muscles actually grow. But before we get into the details, I want you to listen to this closely and really let it sink in. Muscle does not grow during the workout. The workout sends the signal. The growth happens afterward, when your body repairs and adapts. If you take absolutely nothing else away from today's explainer, please remember this core principle. You don't actually build muscle when you're sweating on the gym floor. Your gym session is simply a powerful request you're sending to your body. The real magic? That happens later. Okay, let's dive right in. Here's our roadmap for today. Number 1, sending the growth signal. Number 2, the soreness myth debunked. Number 3, the muscle renovation project. Number 4, women, muscle, and bulking. And finally, number 5, consistency beats workout chaos. Let's start with section 1, sending the growth signal. I want to reassure you right from the start that building muscle, it isn't magic. It's an incredible, completely natural biological adaptation that your body is fully equipped to handle. In the science world, we call this adaptation muscle hypertrophy. Simply put, this is the biological process where your existing muscle fibers adapt and become larger over time. Notice the word existing there. Muscle tissue doesn't just magically appear out of thin air overnight. Your body takes the muscle fibers you already have and it fortifies them. When you lift weights, your body hears a message loud and clear. Okay, this muscle needs to handle more force than it did before. Now, exercise science tells us there are 3 main ways to send that message. They are mechanical tension, metabolic stress, and muscle damage. Metabolic stress is that deep, fiery burning feeling you get on, say, your 15th rep. And muscle damage refers to the tiny micro tears that happen during a particularly tough workout. And while all 3 definitely play a role in the adaptation process, as a beginner, you really only need to focus heavily on the first one on this list. Mechanical tension is the real reason muscles adapt. It happens when your muscle fibers produce force under a load. Think about foundational exercises like squats, hip thrusts, rows, overhead presses, and lunges. When you perform these movements with good control and proper form, you create meaningful tension. It is absolutely not about throwing around the heaviest weight possible with terrible posture. No, it's about giving the target muscle a real mechanical reason to get stronger so it can handle that specific stress better the next time. Moving on to section 2, the soreness myth debunked. Let's address one of the absolute most common beginner anxieties in gym culture, the complete obsession with being sore. The myth goes like this: no soreness means you had a bad workout. But the reality, soreness happens when you try new exercises or maybe suddenly increase your training volume, but it is absolutely not required for growth. So many beginners think, man, if I'm not completely destroyed the next day, I just didn't work hard enough. But science tells us that is simply false. You do not need to be in pain to make progress. I love this rule and I want you to remember it. Soreness is feedback, not a trophy. Soreness might just mean you stretched a muscle in a new way, or you lowered the weight really slowly, or honestly, maybe you just didn't sleep very well the night before. Chasing that deep, painful burn every single workout can actually interfere with your consistency. Think about it. You can't train well or safely if you can barely walk up the stairs. Let's look at section 3, the muscle renovation project. So, if the gym is just where you send the signal, where does the actual growth happen? Well, here is the biological reality of that process. It's called muscle protein synthesis. This is the ongoing process where your body builds and repairs muscle proteins after resistance training. Throughout the day, your body is constantly breaking down and rebuilding protein. To actually grow muscle, the synthesis, the rebuilding part, must exceed the breakdown. To make this super easy to visualize, think of muscle fiber expansion over time like a house renovation project. Step 1 is the request. That's your training.
You are submitting the blueprints to the city and asking for an addition to the house. Step 2 is the bricks. That is the protein you eat throughout the day. You can't build a house without materials, right? Step 3 is the workers. That's your recovery and your sleep. If you don't rest, the workers literally never show up to lay the bricks. All 3 steps absolutely must be in place. And remember, the physical changes you see are gradual adaptations, not instant transformations. It takes time to carefully renovate a house.
Because of this biological reality, more is not always better. Better is better. Beginners often make the mistake of training so hard every single day that they just collapse their recovery resources. If you train too much without resting, you're basically constantly submitting renovation requests, but never letting the workers do their job. You halt the project entirely. Rest days are when you actually grow. This brings us to Section 4, Women, Muscle, and Bulking. Let's shift gears and directly address a massive hesitation many beginners have, especially women. Will lifty weights make me bulky overnight? If you have ever felt intimidated to pick up a dumbbell because you were terrified of this exact scenario, I want you to know you're not alone. It's an incredibly common fear, but it's one we can confidently put to rest today. Let's look at the fear versus the truth. The fear is accidental, instant bulkiness. Waking up looking like a professional bodybuilder just because you did a few heavy squats. But the truth is that muscle growth is a gradual shaping process. It takes months and years of consistent, highly targeted effort. You do not accidentally become extremely muscular. Building significant muscle requires immense, long-term effort, highly structured training, and eating in a caloric surplus. For the average person, strength training simply shapes and tones your body gradually over time. The fundamental rules of human biology apply to everyone. Both men and women need exactly the same things to adapt: mechanical tension, progressive overload, adequate protein, recovery, and consistency. Women do not need delicate pink workouts or tiny 2-pound weights just because they are women. You can and absolutely should use smart, goal-based training with foundational, challenging exercises like deadlifts, squats, and presses. Your muscles respond to the exact same growth signals. Finally, Section 5. Consistency beats workout chaos. Let's talk about the practical behavioral changes that will actually yield results in the gym. The crucial point here is understanding progressive overload. It doesn't just mean ego lifting heavier and heavier weights forever until you get hurt. Progress can mean slightly heavier weights, yes, but it also means doing more reps with the exact same weight, using better form, having more control during the lowering phase of the movement, or improving your range of motion. It is all about controlled, trackable progression week after week. Let's compare 2 different approaches. Person A changes their routine every single week, constantly chases soreness, and just does random workouts they saw on social media. Person B chooses a few key exercises, uses great form, and gradually increases the challenge week by week. Person B is going to see incredible results because they're providing a steady, clear signal to their body. Person A is just going to end up exhausted, sore, and really frustrated. Changing programs too frequently actually prevents your body from adapting. This is exactly why beginners often accidentally overtrain and totally stall their progress. There's this huge myth out there that you need to confuse the muscles to see growth. But by constantly seeking extreme workout variety, you never give your body the consistent signal it needs to master a movement, get stronger at it, and actually build the tissue. Consistency yields far more results than constantly chasing workout chaos. So let's wrap this up with your core actionable beginner guidelines. Train consistently with a structured plan. Use good form because your technique dictates which muscle actually receives the tension. Challenge the target muscle by pushing close to your limits. Eat enough protein to provide the bricks for your renovation project. Track your progress so you know you're genuinely improving. And finally, do not chase soreness. Treat your body with respect and give it the recovery time it needs to adapt. We've covered how to build and shape your muscles and how your body perfectly adapts to resistance training. But that naturally leads us to a very provocative question. Now that we understand how muscle grows, how does fat loss actually work? Well, we're going to dive into the real evidence-based science of that in our next explainer. See you then.